Stanley Parable. Bitte passt den Regler so an, dass der Hund und die Katze Freunde werden. Das ist ja irgendwie voll cute, aber warum muss ich das jetzt machen? Leel. Bitte passt den Regler so an, dass die Nummer 15 Nummer 9 wird. Was gibt's denn hier? Oh Gott, ich muss... Bitte passt den Regler so an, bis du aufhörst. Was zur Hölle? Warum will er mich schon wieder beschäftigen? Bis du aufhörst, den Regler anzupassen. Ihr habt doch keine Hobbys, ey. Welche dieser beiden Wörter findest du ansprechender? Was? Okuboinkal Skrumtusch. Nein. Bitte passe den Regler nicht an. Okay. Weißt du, welche Uhrzeit gerade ist? Ja. Deine Mutter. Ist die Uhrzeit, die es gerade ist, die korrekte Uhrzeit? Nein. Was ist Zeit überhaupt? Nein. Gibt es etwas über dich, das du mir noch nicht erzählt hast? Ja, aber das geht dich nichts an. Hilfe. Nein. Willst du zurückkommen, mich zu besuchen? Nein. Was will er von mir? Ach so. Ich hab was vergessen. Sind wir noch bei Stanley Parable? Ich habe keine Ahnung. Genau, wir sind jetzt bei Stanley Parable 2 und beginnen mal das Spiel. Eigentlich haben wir da schon angefangen. Wie gesagt, ich weiß echt nicht mehr, was ich beim letzten Mal überhaupt nochmal machen wollte, wo ich da gerade war. Ich weiß nur, dass ich einen Eimer hatte.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee.
Halt die Fresse. Ich muss erstmal wieder reinkommen. Was
All of his co-workers were gone.
Hey, lass mich da wieder rein.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Nur das eine, dass ich irgendwo auf den Tisch musste und dann hier durch... Ah, hier kann ich durchglitschen und hier durchglitschen kann.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be?
No.
Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in?
Ich will gerade lieber was
Okay,
trinken.
I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Welcher Witz eigentlich? Wo soll ich da hingehen? Warte.
Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want. Like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate.
Ah, okay.
I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain.
Oh Gott. Der hat jetzt schon wieder Probleme. Kann das?
There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was
Erstmal schon so ein Ass, ne?
he pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. Yes. You too will become quite unbearable.
Was zur Hölle? Der hat immer Probleme, ja, ich glaube auch. Was denn das jetzt für Mucke? Was zur Hölle? Ich kann da nicht hochspringen. Spielt die Musik jetzt ewig weiter oder hört das irgendwann auf? Okay. Also nee, es hört irgendwann auf. Ja, fein machst du das, Junge. Und jetzt? Lass mich jetzt hier raus. Du hast dann nur gestartet. Okay. Ja, und jetzt, Bro? Lässt du mich jetzt einfach hier? Hallo? Ich fühle mich gerade wie Thaddeus in der Folge, wo sie diese Zeitmaschine haben und Thaddeus immer wieder den Hebel bedient halt, bis die Maschine irgendwann kaputt geht und er in diesem weißen Raum landet, wo er dann ganz allein ist.
Für mich ganz allein.
Aber in diesem Spiel fühle ich mich nie alleine. Ich fühle mich immer beobachtet. Das ist der Unterschied. Dann starte ich halt von vorne. Ich glaube, der redet nicht mehr mit mir. Okay, und jetzt hier einfach stehen bleiben und nichts machen. Das war noch das andere. Okay, dann versuchen wir es mal. Let's see. Let's see. Als ob ich jetzt schon wieder eine halbe Stunde am Stream bin. Was? Verarsch mich nicht. Als ob schon wieder eine halbe Stunde um ist. Was habe ich denn gemacht in der halben Stunde? Was haben wir denn gemacht? Wir standen in einem weißen Raum. Hätte ich direkt am Anfang stehen bleiben müssen und gar nicht erst einen Schritt laufen sollen? Okay, dann warte, dann starte ich nochmal von vorne, weil man sich vielleicht gar nicht bewegen darf. Dann keep your hands away from the, okay, from the keyboard. Dann versuchen wir es so nochmal.
6 Stunden später.
So, nee, das ist noch bis Daniel Part 1. Ah, ach so, okay. Das kann natürlich auch sein. Weil der redet nicht mit mir. Was passiert, wenn ich das drücke? Ich finde es so weird, dass hier auf C nicht Crouchen gelegt ist. Dass es hier kein Crouchen gibt, weil ich bin es halt so gewohnt, dass man auf C croucht.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Me in the day in the meeting room. Again, fairness committee hearing the day. Mein Eimer!
Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley
Ja.
is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed.
Ja. Warum komme ich da nicht rein? Ich will da rein. Kann ja auch nicht springen. Ja, ich weiß. Was soll das? Wir mussten auf jeden Fall auch noch die beiden Figuren finden. Warte. Das Bild hattest du mir ja mal geschickt. Also was uns noch fehlt ist... a large room, lots of boxes und somewhere both red and blue. Ich habe eine Idee, wo das mit dem lots of boxes ist.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest, and this was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
War nicht da drüben
said
dann
the
so ein
bucket.
Raum mit...
Don't go to the meeting room. Go
Vielen
somewhere else. The cargo lift. Yes.
Kartons.
Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Do not lie. If you're lying right now, stop! Okay. Vielen Kartons. Man muss ja hier schauen. Oh,
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
hoppla. Ach Mann.
All of
Okay.
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Okay.
No.
Said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Sterbe ich? Warte mal. Ich muss hier runter. Guck mal da. Da ist die Figur. Ich muss hier runter. Was ist das? Aha. Das ist interessant.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the
Ooh.
figure marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it.
Ist mir egal,
We'll be
ich hab dann
different
alle.
people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Das ist dann eigentlich sein Problem. Sterbe ich auch, wenn ich von hier aus springe?
But Stanley
Okay.
feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest.
Ja, aber mich nicht voll. Okay, aber da bei diesem Schacht will ich lang gehen.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace, protective,
Oh.
yet delicate, assertive, yet compassionate.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Ich weiß nicht, wo ich jetzt bin. Was zur Hölle? Na, Süßi? Wo bin ich? Egal, ich habe meinen Eimer bei mir. Was zum... Aha. Was zum... Aber voll cool, VHS-Kassetten. Das kennt Generation TikTok heutzutage nicht mehr. Damals noch, wisst ihr. Ich sehe halt einen Scheiß hier.
Okay, this is day number 295. Take
Was?
number... I don't even know. I've
Was ist
lost
das?
track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling.
Ich habe mir das Gefühl, wir sollten das nicht hören.
Emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that?
Evidence.
Who's there?
Was zur Hölle? Hallo? Ich habe das gerade aus Versehen gefunden. Okay.
All of his co-workers
Das
were
kam
gone.
unerwartet.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had...
Stanley's bucket. The only co-worker he would ever truly need.
Warum ist der Ballon am Boden? Haben wir jetzt den Erzähler gegen uns aufgebracht? Der Ballon ist wie ich am Boden. Ja.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Aber ich muss nochmal in den Gang, weil da war ja noch so ein...
Calling to him. telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Da war ja noch so ein Gang, der noch weitergeführt hat.
The cargo lift, yes. Go there.
Der Eimer wusste schon, wo er uns hinführt. Strange. Oder war das gar kein einfacher Gang, der hier noch irgendwo hingeführt hat? Ah, nee, doch nicht. Das war nur das. Okay. Das ist interessant. Und ich habe echt irgendwie das Gefühl, wir hätten das nicht hören dürfen. Jetzt muss ich mir das nochmal anhören. Oh, scheiße. Nö, muss ich ja gar nicht. Lol.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all. Is Stanley, without the bucket, really Stanley at all? No. Stanley pressed the bucket upon every little thing in the office. Nothing responded to the bucket's touch, but it did little to discourage Stanley's belief in the magic of the bucket.
Hoppla.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and
Okay.
entered the door on his left.
Ich frage mich immer noch, wie man so in diese anderen Räume kommt. Ob man da überhaupt noch irgendwie hinkommt. Jetzt fehlt uns das noch Somewhere Red and Blue. Ah, wo ist das? Somewhere Red and Blue.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers.
Ja, ja.
If I did, you can guarantee we... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Klang das schon immer so weird? Dass das so geknarzt hat irgendwie hier? In dem Kontrollraum. Ha. Das würde dann die Bombe explodieren lassen will.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Alter.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing present. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
Was zur Hölle?
This is certainly the most logical explanation. Everything will be fine.
Ich habe immer noch nicht mein Loch gefunden.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Das geht?
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into
Was?
the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now, what to do next? Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed.
Oh
It
Gott.
really wasn't so bad.
Was habe ich getan?
Cold, perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed
Oh!
a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility.
Ja, ist mir aber egal, ich lebe
This
mit meinem
lack
Eimer.
of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending.
Sehe ich nicht.
This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Das ist Manipulation, ja, oder? Was ist denn sein Problem? Lass mich darüber mit meinem Eimer in Frieden leben. Gib mir meinen Eimer.
As Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt a connection to all buckets everywhere. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Mind control facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Hier kann ich nicht hoch. Das geht wahrscheinlich wirklich nur da vorne. Schade. Employee Observation Protocol. Alter.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears.
Aw.
Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Mein armer Eimer. Mann. Hör auf, dem Angst zu machen. Du Pisser.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Ja.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way. The bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
They high-fived in a really cool way. Habt ihr hier eine Stanley-Figur gesehen? Ich frag für einen Freund. Na? Huch. Wie läuft man nochmal? Ich will da wieder raus. Ach, Schnufti. Ja, ich frag für meinen Eimer. Ach, Mäuschen. Was hast du denn? Wie spät ist es denn? Oh, es ist Essenszeit. Dann werde ich wohl mal kurz den Kleinen was zu essen geben. Ja. Weil es hangelt sich mein Stuhl hoch. Kleine Kinder. Wollt ihr was essen? Hm? Habt ihr Hunger? Ja. Ich gebe den kleinen Babys was zu essen. Bis gleich.
Much later.
So. I'm back. Ich habe den Kleinen direkt auch nochmal frisches Wasser gegeben und war nochmal kurz auf Toilette. Und jetzt trinkt Lexi auch schon. Die kleinen Babys. So. Also, wo ist die Stanley-Figur? Hier finde ich die halt irgendwie auch nicht. Da komme ich nicht hin. Warum eigentlich nicht? Genau, ich hatte der Toilette auch noch Wasser gegeben. Dann muss ich hier an alle denken. Soll ja keiner vernachlässigt werden hier.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their
Das kann ich nicht
obligation
lesen.
to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Ich weiß gar nicht mehr beim letzten Mal. Bin ich da auf On oder auf Off gegangen? Vielleicht spielen wir nachher noch eine Runde Bloons. Aber letztes Mal wollten wir eigentlich schon Stanley Parable spielen. Kurzfristig haben wir uns dann aber doch anders entschieden. Und weil wir hier irgendwann das Spiel auch mal noch zu Ende bringen wollen, habe ich jetzt gesagt, wir spielen heute erstmal auf jeden Fall Stanley Parable noch weiter. Mal schauen, wie lange noch. Und vielleicht danach noch eine Runde Bloons. Ich habe schon Bildes gemacht. Ich weiß eben auch nicht mehr. On oder off? Mind Control Center on oder off? Ich bin mir unsicher. Off?
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end.
Mach ich
True,
auch
it
immer.
was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the
Das war so klar!
recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket.
Oh mein Gott!
No, Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it.
Das Gebäude hat gar nichts mehr zu
He would never
reden.
again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
So ein Pisser. Hallo, warum will er meinen Eimer wegnehmen? Was soll das? Sag
All
nicht,
of
dass
his
ich jetzt meinen
co-workers
Eimer
were
nicht mehr
gone.
kriege.
What could it mean? Stanley decided
Oh.
to go to the meeting room. What new mysteries lay in store for our bucket-loving heroes today? Let's find out. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Und was passiert dann, wenn ich auf Off klicke? Da kann ich aber nicht komplett hoch. Doch, kann ich.
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below.
Okay, da waren wir ja schon. Das müssen wir jetzt nicht nochmal alles komplett geben.
Now this, Stanley thought to himself, this is a bucket. And indeed it was.
Mind Controls. Klick mal jetzt mal on.
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls.
Ich hab den gedrückt, nicht mein Eimer.
gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself?
Nein, es war mein Plan, nicht der des Eimers.
Stanley was
Ich wollte die
prepared to
ganze Zeit
throw
die
the
Welt
bucket away
übernehmen.
in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Was zur Hölle? Was ist das? Silly Birds. Ich will die Vögel nicht als dumm bezeichnen. Ihr seid dumm. Ah.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly
so
birds
schön, ne?
all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Ah, das ist the last one. Parrots. No. Aber ich frage mich gerade, was geht jetzt noch? Was kann man jetzt hier noch machen? Also, safe, wir sind noch lange nicht beim Ende. Uns fehlt immer noch diese eine dämliche Figur. Aber wo?
The meeting room.
Whoa.
Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again.
Ja, der Meeting Room ist auch da, aber keiner, ne? Erstmal alles ausmachen hier, Strom sparen. Wo ist die letzte Figur? Ich nehme erstmal meinen Eimer.
Yes, the bucket. Yes, yes, yes. I love that bucket.
Same, bro. Das sind ja überall noch so Türen offen. Da denke ich halt irgendwie, man kommt da halt noch irgendwie hin, aber I don't know how.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but
Das ist
Stanley
mega.
had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Lea, denkst du, es macht Sinn, irgendwie mal zu googeln, was man noch machen kann, wie man jetzt hier irgendwie noch weiterkommt, weil ich habe gerade keinen Peil. To be honest. Ja, es müsste halt noch was geben, weil ich habe halt gelesen, Spiel so 30 Stunden und wir brauchen ja eigentlich zum Beispiel auch noch die eine letzte Figur, aber ich weiß noch mal nicht, wo man die finden soll. Wir sind ja jetzt noch never ever schon irgendwie 30 Stunden, die wir gespielt haben. Dankeschön. Let's see. Ich schau mal kurz rein.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Achso, warte mal. Computer benutzen? Ja, das ist ja 434, aber den kann ich ja nicht benutzen.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference.
Warte, ich werde es noch von vorne beginnen. Wir cheaten jetzt ein bisschen, aber das ist egal. Wie komme ich da hoch? Komme ich da überhaupt irgendwie hoch? Nee, ne? Ha, warte mal. Bin ich hier nicht gerade irgendwie hochgekommen? Oder habe ich mir das mal eingebildet?
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were.
419.
Just a matter of time.
Wo ist Computer 419? I need to see. 432. 418? 419? Hier komme ich irgendwie nicht irgendwo hin. Ich überlege sonst nämlich auch, ob ich erstmal mit Stanley Parable erstmal wieder aufhöre und was anderes erstmal mache. Na, irgendwas ist hier gerade komisch, wodurch es mir gerade irgendwie ein bisschen nicht so gut geht. Und ich weiß nicht, ob das was mit dem Game zu tun hat. Ja, ich glaube, ich muss hier erstmal raus.